So you're scrolling through social media and everyone's talking about the same person. Some influencer just dropped a new product, made a controversial statement, or announced their morning routine that apparently changed their entire life. Meanwhile, there's a group of people who just keep scrolling. They don't follow, they don't engage, they don't even seem to care. And you might think, are these people just out of touch? Are they missing out on something amazing? Or have they figured out something the rest of us haven't? Let's talk about the psychology of people who don't follow influencers. Because trust me, it's way more complex than you think. And by the end of this, you might start questioning whether you're the one who's actually missing out. First, let's be honest about what following influencers really does to your brain. When you follow someone, you're essentially signing up for a daily dose of their life, their opinions, and their recommendations. Your brain starts forming what psychologists call a parasocial relationship. You feel like you know them personally even though they don't know you exist. And here's the kicker. That feeling is designed to make you spend money. But people who don't follow influencers, they've either consciously or unconsciously rejected this entire system. And there are 4 main psychological profiles that explain why. The first type is the skeptical observer. These people see right through the performance. They understand that every post, every story, every casual mention is calculated. When an influencer says they're just sharing their morning coffee routine, the skeptical observer knows it's actually a sponsored post for a specific brand. They've developed what researchers call advertising literacy. The ability to recognize when they're being sold to, even when it's disguised as friendship or advice. These people value authenticity over everything else, and to them influencer culture feels fundamentally fake. They're not bitter or jealous. They just refuse to invest emotional energy in relationships that aren't real. Psychologically, they have strong critical thinking skills and high emotional intelligence. They can separate entertainment from genuine connection. The second type is the self-directed individual. This person doesn't follow influencers because they don't need external validation for their choices. They know what they like, what they want, and how to make decisions without input from strangers on the internet. When everyone's buying the same trending product because their favorite creator recommended it, the self-directed individual is researching alternatives, or just sticking with what already works for them. These people have what psychologists call an internal locus of control. They believe their actions and decisions shape their outcomes, not external influences. They're not easily swayed by social proof or fear of missing out. Instead of asking what's popular, they ask what's useful. Instead of following trends, they create their own path. The third type is the privacy protector. This person understands that following influencers means giving up pieces of their attention and mental space. They've realized that every account they follow is competing for their thoughts, their time, and ultimately their money. So they choose to protect their mental real estate like it's valuable property. These people often have experience with information overload or decision fatigue. They felt overwhelmed by too many choices, too many opinions, and too much noise. So they've made a conscious decision to curate their digital environment. They follow fewer accounts but engage more deeply with the content they do consume. Quality over quantity in every aspect of their online life. And then there's the fourth type, the financial guardian. This person has connected the dots between following influencers and spending money. They've noticed that the more influencers they follow, the more products they want to buy. The more lifestyle content they consume, the more inadequate their own life feels. So they've made a strategic decision to protect their financial well-being by limiting their exposure to constant advertising. These people understand something crucial that most of us miss. Influencers make money when you feel dissatisfied with your current situation. The more inadequate you feel, the more likely you are to buy whatever they're selling, whether it's skincare, supplements, courses, or cryptocurrency. The business model depends on making you believe you need something you didn't know you wanted 5 minutes ago. But here's where it gets really interesting. People who don't follow influencers aren't necessarily happier or more successful than people who do. They just have different psychological priorities and different relationships with social validation, authenticity, and financial decision-making. The fascinating thing about these 4 types is how they handle something most of us never think about: mental bandwidth. While the average person follows hundreds of accounts and consumes thousands of pieces of content daily, these people have learned to be selective. They treat their attention like a limited resource, not an endless well. Think about it. Every influencer you follow is essentially renting space in your head. And that space isn't free. It costs you focus, decision-making energy, and peace of mind. People who don't follow influencers have figured out that protecting this mental space is more valuable than staying connected to every trending topic or viral moment. But there's another layer to this psychology that most people don't see: the resistance to influence itself. These individuals have developed what researchers call psychological reactance. When they feel like someone is trying to persuade them, their natural response is to pull back. It's not stubbornness, it's self-preservation. They've learned to recognize the subtle manipulation tactics that influencer marketing uses: the artificial scarcity, the fear of missing out, the social proof through fake intimacy. When an influencer says, "My followers know I only recommend products I truly love," these people hear, "I'm about to sell you something using emotional manipulation." And here's what's really wild. Many of these people used to follow influencers. They're not born skeptics or naturally immune to social influence. They learned through experience. Maybe they bought products that didn't work. Maybe they felt constantly inadequate comparing their real life to someone's highlight reel. Maybe they noticed their spending habits changing in ways that didn't align with their actual values. The turning point usually comes when they realize the psychological cost of constant exposure to curated perfection. They start noticing how their mood shifts after spending time on social media, how they suddenly want things they never wanted before, how they start questioning their own choices based on what strangers on the internet are doing. So they make a conscious decision to step back, not from all social media, but from the specific accounts that trigger feelings of inadequacy or impulse spending. They unfollow the lifestyle influencers who make them feel like their home isn't good enough. They stop watching the financial gurus who promise quick wealth. They distance themselves from the wellness influencers who suggest their current habits are slowly killing them. So which type are you? The skeptical observer who sees through the performance, the self-directed individual who trusts their own judgment, the privacy protector guarding their mental space, or the financial guardian protecting their wallet? Maybe you're discovering you're a mix of all four. Either way, the people who don't follow influencers aren't missing out. They're just choosing to live without the constant noise, and honestly, that might be the smartest decision of all.